very well known expert in the field of machine learning. He has motivated so many students in the field of machine learning. In the graduation of his career, he was a Google scholar as well as a Google student partner as well as Microsoft student partner. He was also been provided the a forum that there he has shared so many knowledge sharing talks, and he has also been invited by the TEDx at very young age. So today we are very fortunate to have Ali Mustafa on our platform. So I warmly welcome on behalf of all of us Mr. Ali Mustafa. So please, Ali Mustafa ji, please start your session. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So I hope you are doing good, and I'll start sharing my screen. So once it is visible, just gonna do a comment that it's visible, and then we can start the session. I'll close my video because it might consume some bandwidth while sharing the screen. So once necessary for Q&A, I will reopen my video again. Okay. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
No, screen is not visible.
Okay, sir. Now is it visible?
No, screen does not appear. So don't worry about your video because if it will not, Jitsi will not capture your video while you are presenting the screen. So don't worry about that. You have an option of sharing a full desktop. So you can choose it.
Share the PDF file. I'll share it again. Okay. Are you able to see it now? Yeah. Is it visible now?
No, sir, your screen is not visible yet.
Oh, because it's showing me that you're sharing your screen.
Just
Which is sharing it.
stop your screen sharing and start it again.
Okay, I stopped it.
Yeah.
Select the
Um,
entire desktop to be shared. That was
yes,
more
sir.
preferable.
Yeah. I shared the entire desktop, but again,
Okay, fine.
it doesn't allow me to kind of use that. So I'll try it again. So I'm sharing the desktop and I'm sharing the audio as well. So I've shared. Okay. In my screen, I'm able to see myself. Means the window which I shared. Are you able to see that? Yeah, I guess it's visible. Is it?
Nope.
Oh, because I'm able to see in my small window up here. It's changing. I don't know why you're not able to see
Eh,
because it's
just
visible.
uh, just a second, sir.
Because it's visible to me in my small window up there on the right hand corner. When I change the screen, it appears that there. I don't know why it's not appearing for you.
हुआ क्या? Please.
You see, I'm now showing the information.
Okay,
So
sir, you can start. Yeah.
yeah, it works. Okay. So here we go. So good afternoon, I guess good afternoon, not only good evening, everyone. And I'm Ali Mustafa. So my typical way of saying hello is like this: usually waving a hand and then taking a small short video so that I can send it across my social media channels. But we are doing an e-meeting, so in that case, we will just say hello to ourselves and start with that. I hope you're doing good in this like times of COVID-19 and expect you to be in a good health and stay home, stay indoors. So today's topic of discussion is machine learning and artificial intelligence, and I'm kind of it's
Uh,
a beginner talk. So
Excuse me, sir.
yeah,
Sorry for interruption, but please turn on your camera, then start screen sharing. I think you
okay.
turn on your camera. That's why it's blocking that.
Oh, okay. Is it visible now?
Yeah, yeah. Now it's visible.
Oh, okay. So once if I kind of turn off the camera, it's not visible.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, that's good then. Not a problem. Okay. So yeah, I'll do the hello again. So hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about most importantly about how machine learning kind of works and what are the main concepts behind it, and if you were kind of supposed to kind of explain that to a grandpa that how machine learning works or a small kid, so what will you say? Okay, so that's kind of questions which, are going to, which we are going to kind of answer during the session. If you are already familiar with machine learning, you might learn something new. But again, this is something which is specifically for beginners. So if you are an advanced user who knows how to use machine learning and machine learning models and deploy them, so in that case, this session might not be so much helpful to you because this more focuses on the kind of the background and the beginner's journey in machine learning. So if you are an advanced user, then this session might not be the right one for you. But again, you will learn something new because my way of teaching is something different than what you might have seen till now. So about myself, I'm Ali Mustafa, and Sir has already introduced me. But I'll share few kind of details which will help you understand and focus on the session. I'm a Google Certified Educator, a level 1 and a level 2. I'm also a software innovator working with kind of Intel hardwares and a Microsoft student partner where we kind of share knowledge about different technologies and specifically open source. I talk a lot, and I have been to like more than 38 cities in India. These are some of my snaps which are visible. You can see here, and I love clicking selfies and photos. And this is Parul University. I visited last year, no, this year only, and this was kind of an amazing experience. It was in February, and we interacted with more than 1,300 students over 2 days. And yeah, so something about few of my achievements, which kind of gives me the ability to share about machine learning in general, is because I have been contributing since the age of 15. Now I'm 22, and I started my journey when I was in diploma first year, and I worked very closely with communities like Google Crowdsource for 2 years. Then I also worked with TensorFlow user groups in India and currently lead TensorFlow user group Mumbai. But we were the first one to start it in India. And including that, we also published a paper at Annual IPS, that's world's largest machine learning conference. So we published a paper for Inclusive Images 2.0 with the help of crowdsourcing. And I was also invited as a invited speaker for TensorFlow World Ignite, which happened at Santa Clara. So that's kind of my journey summing up the machine learning in India. And I have been to like more than 38 cities, explaining about conducting workshop and explaining about different stuff. So I guess you're able to kind of, so during the time I'll be sharing a lot of information. Yeah. So um,
if you are kind of wondering or want to do hands-on, so I have a lab prepared for you. So I will share that, and you can kind of use that for hands-on lab. I will share that when I am explaining about the core concept of machine learning, which is around after 30 minutes mostly. And I will share the lab which you can go through with me, and you can kind of make your own model at the end of the day. Okay. So this is some of the work which I do with but I'll skip that for now and I'll come back to it later if the time permits because we are running short on time already. So now we live in a country like India and like 1.3 billion people. That was around 2011, and now it's like 2020, and we have more than 1.3 billion people, right? So machine learning plays a very, very vital role in the coming years and currently as well, where it kind of gives you an overall idea about how you can solve different problems which are more centric to Indian use cases. And because we have so many people around here, that's why it becomes very kind of it's plus one as well and it's minus one as well because of the personal manpower which AI will definitely replace to some extent. But again, at the same time, when we are talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning, it's not going to kind of replace high-level jobs, and it's going to create more and more high-level jobs. Like if you see in today's world, most of there is a lot of demand of machine learning engineers and people who can actually kind of design machine learning systems and maintain them. So that's it. That's about it. Now, when I talk about India, like I told you, like there are 1.3 billion people, and they come with a lot of diversity, and that diversity is can be experienced in terms of language. So mostly, if you see the languages which we speak, like including Hindi, Marathi, Telugu, Bengali, Odia, Urdu, then Gujarati, Malayalam, Kannada. There are some few to name. Okay, and specifically, if you see, there are like 28 to 30 languages which are kind of listed officially. But again, there are more than 1600 dialects of that languages which are not even listed on the official website. So language becomes a barrier while communicating most of the time because most of the information available on the web is in English. But when you try to access it, obviously the language becomes the barrier. And hence, machine learning applications fit right into the place where we can develop a system which can actually work with native languages. Uh, Instead of making the user learn a different language, we can design a system which can be used by the user for the language he speaks, and that too by doing or training a single model. So this is one of the use cases. So our approach is going to be going through the use cases and then kind of trying to understand machine learning and then applying that understanding to our use cases because we are going to fall back on a use case again. If you don't know how to use machine learning, like if you don't know where to use machine learning, that is a problem because if you know how to, that's not a problem. You can learn that from two to three, two, four blogs, or there are so many plenty of resources available. But if you don't know where to apply, then that's a very big problem because you will be just developing demo projects and it might not even kind of create a real impact. So we will go through some use cases and then moving forward, we'll understand how the technology works and then come back to the use cases and see if it fits. So this was what I was talking about last. We have like 28 to 30 languages and more than 1600 dialects. And with 1.3 billion people, it becomes very, very difficult sometimes to kind of interact with people who speak in native languages across internet. Okay, because when you talk about human-to-human communication, language just plays as a medium, which is not so effective. So let's say when if I don't know your language, I can still communicate with you to 50% extremely. But if I know your language, I can communicate to like 80 to 100%. But again, if I don't know your language, I can still communicate with you for kind of asking you food or asking you shelter or kind of asking water to drink or some basic things which I can actually do without involvement of any language. But this doesn't really apply to machines, and machines work on instructions and input, and the input which they have already configured for. So when they see some new inputs or they see something which is not familiar, they might not give an output at all, or they might give an output which might be misleading or which might not be an effective outcome. And that's why machine learning is kind of so much pushed in, where it can actually understand this kind of uh, it can be the solution of this kind of scenarios. So coming back to how uh, uh, like how we are going to apply machine learning, the first thing which you need to understand is about the people you are understanding, the people you are applying machine learning for, the people who are going to use your
Excuse
model.
me, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry for inconvenience, but sir, your voice is not clear to our audience.
So is it visible? Um, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, now you are audible.
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you.
So yeah, not a problem. So this is how you need to understand your audience first before actually you kind of go and design systems for them, and that's like a really important factor because we don't most of the times consider who are going to be our users. Okay, and that's why you need to understand the audience which you're dealing with, the 1.3 billion people you are dealing with. So this is like a social media, and when I talk about Indians on internet, we rule the internet. Okay, and that's not just about a social media channel. It's about everywhere. Okay, so if you talk about even if you talk about social media channels like YouTube or Twitter or WhatsApp, for that case, you can say that we kind of have a lot of people on their platform. Okay, and they kind of rule it in terms of trending hashtags or kind of doing a number of things. Even for defamation, like I'll throw some examples which might be helpful to understand how the audience operates. This is very much important, as I told you already, that if you're designing for an audience, you need to understand how the audience works and and then you can define the guidelines of the project or the machine learning model. Simple. So here there is a snapshot of trending page. This was back then, like around 2 months back. I took a screenshot when I was just navigating through Twitter, and I saw some tweets like "Justice for Same," "Stop using self-patriarchy," "Stop bullying again," "Same," and then again Siddharth Shukla, and then BB3, and then "Stop bullying again." And I really thought that this guy Same, is in a lot of trouble because again, someone trends and hashtags when he's in trouble. But then I kind of I was not a Big Boss fan, obviously, and I saw that this guy is a contestant of a Big Boss episode, and the power of social media is so huge and so like it's so powerful that this was trending fifth worldwide. If you consider the trend in the last year, okay, 8 million plus tweets, okay, and that was kind of that's the power of the audience which you are dealing with. So you need to be very sure that what you're designing and how this audience is consuming your platform or your application, and then you can kind of opt for machine learning systems or a normal system which can actually solve this problem. Because understanding the audience or the users is the first thing you need to do, and then you can kind of apply machine learning, and then or if machine learning is not applicable, a normal system which can actually solve the problem. So this is a simple analysis. Now, understanding audience part two. Now, if you know this kind of image, this is TikTok, and it is an app which is kind of so popular. The popularity has been growing in India massively because of cheap internet connections and cheap mobile phones, where you can have a mobile phone 5,000 rupees with a 4 GB RAMs and a good camera. So we are going to try and study the use case of how TikTok works, or how is it like how machine learning systems help applications in becoming so addictive that people are kind of installing it and then using it and installing it and using it on a daily basis. So here you can see the audience, like the creators, they are not kind of the ones you usually see. These are creators which are like taxi drivers, truck drivers. They are not kind of creators which are like which are born creators. They are people who are creating content using a mobile phone and internet. Okay, and these are not kind of real actors or something. They are normal people who are creating content, and that's how TikTok Like it's growing gradually with people who are having internet and a mobile phone and want to create content. uh, though the content sometimes is not so good quality, but again, we kind of tend to consume it because imagine around 300 million people using 2 GB average data per day. That's around 600 million of GBs consumed per day. Okay, and that's I'm assuming that you consume 2 GB data per day, but that's more than that. Okay, and what you do of that data is you kind of browse through YouTube, you browse through TikTok, you browse through different applications, and you consume that amount of data. So when I talk about content creation, like, and the content consumption, uh, that's how it works with an audience of 1.3 billion people. Okay. So why we are discussing this is because understanding the usability of machine learning is very, very important than understanding machine learning itself. Because if you understand the usability of machine learning, then learning machine learning is like very easy. You can become a master of machine learning within 3 to 6 months, and then you can implement or make applications and deploy them into the market. So if you see the growth, it has been massive, and it is the curve which you see is like growing exponentially. And this has never been the case with any other social media, including Facebook, WhatsApp, or any other social media, which has been with TikTok. And if you see the number of average hours spent by the user on TikTok, it's like average 52 minutes. You just imagine that a video is like 15 seconds video, right? And if the application is able to engage you for 52 down minutes, like that means 15 seconds into so many videos which you're watching on a daily basis. Okay, and that's the power of machine learning algorithm, and not just how the application works. Because it follows a greedy approach. It follows an approach where it kind of analyzes your interest and shows you the videos which you are going to watch. So if you go to YouTube today and you kind of search for some videos which are more on like assembling PCs, you will see similar videos. Okay, but if you are kind of watching videos which are more on like more like vlogging videos, a bit of a maybe a vlogging video, because they don't want you to go on the platform. They want you to be there and get engaged. Okay, and that's what TikTok has been very successful in doing. Now, if you are aware of the recent trends, there might be a war going on between TikTok and YouTube guys, which is like TikTok versus YouTube. But again, coming back to our point of view from which you are as an engineer are looking is about the usability of where and how the machine learning models plays a very, very vital role. For example, WhatsApp. You don't really need a machine learning model in WhatsApp to kind of send or receive messages. Like you can do that using multi-threading and programming concepts. But when it comes to TikTok, again, you cannot do that using normal techniques. You need something which can make sure the user is getting the content which he feels inclined towards. Else, he's going to leave your application within the first install. And believe me, if you are kind of not so you don't have a good opinion about TikTok, just download the application. You will understand how the usability factor involves so much. Okay, and these are some of the apps which are kind of uses machine learning, and they are ruling most of the Play Store. Like if you see, and these are Chinese apps. Okay, most of them are Chinese apps. 44 of them in top 100 was Chinese apps. Again, it includes TikTok, Azender, VMate, Beauty Plus. Beauty Plus again, a camera application which makes you like verify and all. So these are the kind of applications which people have been using on a daily basis, and this is only because of the usability factor where the algorithm comes into place and it follows a guilty approach. So, for example, if you are watching this guy for a very long time, you might be, inclined towards maybe you might be watching hate videos or you might be watching good videos. So the algorithm is greedy in nature. That means it will not reinforce positivity. If you're watching hate videos, it will show you more hate videos. If you're watching good videos, it will show you more good videos. But it doesn't work around the way. And that's why you might have heard about the Supreme Court banning TikTok for a few time. I guess 2 days something. But that was because of this factor of the algorithm where the algorithm was getting too greedy and was not kind of able to moderate the content, but it was just getting views. So that's why if you see the recent initiatives of TikTok, it says TikTok for education, TikTok for motivation, and XYZ factors, because that's how it works. Now, coming back to our language, barrier, where we kind of talk about how we are going to enable so many people with so many different cultures to interact on internet when the internet is all about English. So this image, if you're not aware of, it's Priya Warrior, I guess, yeah. And the video went real quick, viral because the video conveyed a message kind of which was too emotional. But at the same time, if you hear the background noise, or if you try to kind of understand what the video really means in terms of language, no one really understood. Like we people living in Mumbai, we didn't really understood because it was more of a South Indian language. But we totally understood the message with the expression. Okay, and that's what humans are kind of capable of doing. But machines, they don't really care. So they don't really kind of have that ability to understand that emotion which you are sharing. So you need to make sure that you configure a machine which can actually do that for you. But again, that's where machine learning comes into place and artificial intelligence comes into place, and we are going to talk about that more. So if you have been understanding or seeing why AI first or why voice first, the reason behind this is there are like 30 different odd languages. Now you cannot kind of come back and say that man, let's make 30 different keyboards. Or and when I talk about 30 different languages, it doesn't just stop there. So what do I really mean? Hindi is a language, but Rangpuri, Rangbashi, Rangbeli, Avdhi is a dialect of Hindi. Okay. Now these are all different languages. Okay. So while considering a language, I will just consider Hindi, but not its dialect. But again, it has different dialects, and all dialects have more than 5 million speakers. So at the end of the day, if you kind of calculate that, it becomes more than 1600 different dialects, which are, as far as we say, we are known to it. Okay, there might be many more which are not even listed. So developing applications, developing keyboards, so many keyboards doesn't make any sense. At the same time, you know that people don't actually kind of, they won't be able to kind of type stuff, but they will be able to understand, listen to you and understand. So if you go and ask a rickshaw that, hey man, would you go to this specific place? You might be saying that, भैया मुझे पढ़ना नहीं आता, right? आप मुझे आप मुझे बोल के बताओ, मैं आपको लेके जाऊंगा वहाँ पे. Else it is like because he is not able to read that words, though it is written in Hindi. Okay, so that's also a problem where we kind of we can't actually do that. So that's why you see people pushing AI first, voice first. So what does voice first means? You can actually modulate different versions of dialect and combine them into one, and then use them with your systems. Because voice is something which is which everyone can speak, obviously, and the machine can understand it, and we can use Fourier transformations and extract specific signals or specific background noises if you want. And that's the power and ability ML brings when we talk about making systems. So here again, uh, that's why you will see the rise of Google Assistant or Alexa, which has been growing exponentially because of this factor of voice first and AI first. Because people are now realizing that instead of typing stuff, why not just say it and it's done? Okay, and keeping that in mind, companies like Google and Facebook are pushing towards Google, Facebook. Facebook is also designing something which is going to be out soon, I assume. And Amazon is already there in the business with Alexa. Samsung is there in the business. Microsoft was always there with Cortana and many more different kind of like Samsung has Bixby. So yeah, that's how it is kind of working out with voice first players. Okay, so this was something which I was showing about the power of Indians online. So if you remember about this Snapchat thing, where we kind of rated Snapchat to 1 star within like 2 hours because we believe that the CEO said something bad about India, but he didn't really say that. Okay, and we didn't stop there. It was just very much controversial when it got out, and Snapdeal was receiving 1 star ratings, and then Snapdeal went out to Twitter, and Snapdeal was like, "Hey guys, we share the name Snap, but we are an e-commerce company, totally different." But then we didn't stop there, and Snapdeal's rating was also dropped to 3 star within hours. And that's about 1.3 billion people on the internet, right? And if you talk about even PewDiePie versus T series or any other competitions, like reaching a million views in India versus reaching a million views in any other country, very difficult. Oh yeah, because in India it's very easy to kind of get an audience, but in other countries it's not that easy because of the population. Like Uttar Pradesh, like if you talk about Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Jharkhand, each state can actually kind of occupy a country, foreign countries. Okay, and that's how big and massive people we have in India. So yeah, that's how it works. And again, so you're making a machine learning system which is going to be operated by masses. Okay, so you need to make sure that it's not racist. It's able to work in different environment conditions, and that's how it is. So moving forward, yeah. So I'll conclude the part one here, which says that the usability and the application of machine learning. So where it can be applicable at voice applications mostly because that is the need of an hour. Being an Indian, there are so many different languages, and you can develop something which can understand that language and kind of give you um, a, a better application out of it. Second part was more on like developing keyboards and an input, how you can actually make the input more effective rather than using different like techniques other than voice, maybe symbols or hand sign or other kind of techniques. And then moving towards understanding the engagement of audience, for example, TikTok, how TikTok engages people and keeps them looped into the application, even though it's just 15-second video. So machine learning. Now let's talk about something technical. So machine learning, you have been hearing a lot about machine learning nowadays, and that's why you are here, right? That you want to gain more insight about what is machine learning, how machine learning works. Now, machine learning is something which is like very easy to understand, but at the same time not applicable everywhere. And the average salary of a machine learning engineer is also $100,000. That's around 80 lakh rupees per year. Okay, and that's like 80x of what a normal engineer earns in India. So that's a lot of money, right? So there is a lot of requirement as well. So like why you should not learn it? That's number one question. So that's why everyone is kind of inclined towards learning machine learning, and they are like, we want to learn machine learning because this is something which is made for us or something like that. But again, machine learning is something which is an art. Okay, so it's not a technology per se, as far as I say, right? I believe it's more of like an art form where you kind of there are numerous ways to do machine learning, and you can do machine learning using Excel, like Excel sheets, or you can do machine learning using Python or C++ or any given language out there. Okay, you can use MATLAB, you can use n number of tools to achieve machine learning, and that's quite possible. So that's why I call it as an art. Machine learning is an art which takes your data and kind of some give you a kind of an experience which you have never seen before. It might be in terms of analytically showing you that okay, this data is so much valuable, or predicting the future, saying that okay, this stock will go this much in the near future, or kind of telling you that okay, this disease is present for this patient based on the symptoms available. So these are some of the examples of how machine learning can be really useful in real world. But understanding the core principle is not that easy as it seems it is. Because to understand machine learning, you have to go back, and it's not a new term, okay? telling you machine learning is a new term will be a very, very, very kind of false news because machine learning was there in 1910s and 1920s, and it was at its peak in 1950s and 1960s as well. And then because of funding issues, because of computing issues, it then dropped down back and then came back in 2012, where we had a lot of data, we had a lot of compute power, a lot of advanced chipsets, and then now is the time where you see a lot of people using machine learning on a daily basis, like people, students like you and me, using machine learning on a daily basis. Now that was not quite possible 100 years back. Okay, so before we get into technical, let's understand that nothing is kind of impossible to understand. Maybe it is rocket science or it's music theory. Both of the thing is kind of very easy to understand. So don't kind of act like you can't understand it because it's very easy. Nothing is too difficult if you kind of concentrate it and you have a good instructor. Now, if you understand it, I become a good instructor. If you don't, again, I need to improve because my delivery totally depends on your understanding totally depends on my delivery. So, what is machine learning? Machine learning is so I'll explain you how it happens. So, for example, machine learning is a concept where you have a teaching set and you collect that and you use that teaching set to train the algorithm something, and then you bring in unseen data and then tell that machine to kind of predict that on that unseen data, and then over the time, machine gets smarter and better. Simple as that. So this is how the tree might look like. Now, understanding machine learning or making your grandpa understand machine learning will be very difficult task because you cannot actually, what is a teaching set, what is data, how what is algorithm, how you train that algorithm, how everything happens is very, very technical. So I will give you a small example of how machine learning really works in real life. And if you see the example which we are discussing right now is on your screens, if you see, what is this? So this is a child, right? A child which is crying. Yeah, I guess. Now try to guess the reasons of why this child is crying. Now see, I'm not able to see your chat responses, but you can write it there, and or else you can unmute your mic and say something. That is also kind of acceptable. But yeah, just try to understand why this child is crying. Like, just give me a few reasons, like why. Okay, so you might have given your responses, but I'll kind of list down some which I think might be quite possible. One thing, he needs food. He's hungry. That's why he's crying. Number two, someone kind of pinched him. He's crying. Okay. Number three, he might have done potty. Quite possible. Crying. Number four, he might be requesting an ice cream, not getting an ice cream, again, crying. Okay. And there could be n number of reasons. Now, again, he might be kind of remembering his mom or his dad or something like that. Again, a possibility. Now, if you think machine learning is just like this child, okay, and you predicting what is happening, over the like. Now, what you just did was you try to predict what's happening here, okay. So it's like when you were born into this world, you didn't know your name, did you? No, you didn't. Um, did you know your religion? You didn't. Did you know who was your mom? You didn't. Obviously, you didn't. Then what are the factors you didn't know? You didn't know anything. Okay, and you're just crying. Simple as that. And you don't even remember that what was happening when you're born because now you're like 20, I guess 20, 21, 22. My audience will be mostly like around that age. So you didn't even remember what was happening back then when you were like 1 year old or like 6 months old, right? Because yeah, that's how it is. So you were given a name, you were born in an environment, and in that environment you were raised up. So for example, I was born in a Muslim family, and then but I lived in a Marathi neighborhood. So my first language, like I know Marathi, but I don't know Urdu. Now, why is it so? Because I was practicing Marathi and I was able to kind of speak Marathi. I was able to write Marathi. I had Marathi friends, and that's why I know Marathi well. Simple. Okay. Now, here the teaching set acted as my environment, and I learned what was there in my environment, and then I adopted myself according to the environment, and now I speak Marathi. Simple as that. Okay. What if I'm born in a Catholic family? I might be speaking English. Simple. Okay. So that's how it works. Now, let's imagine the life of the student. So he kind of becomes like 3 years old or 2 years old, and then he goes to junior KG, senior KG, and then he wants to learn English, or he wants to learn how to walk, how to speak. Now, if you see in the initial days, this guy is mostly kind of walking on four legs, right or wrong. All right, he's crawling. He's not able to walk on two legs, obviously not. And then he sees everyone around them walking on two legs. They're like, everyone is walking on two legs. If you have seen Tarzan, right? You see that Tarzan doesn't walk on two legs. Though he is a human being, he walks on four legs. Now, why was that so? Because of the environment, the teaching environment, the learning environment, right? So Tarzan learned that, okay, everyone walks on four legs, so I'm going to walk on four legs. But here, as a human being, you understand that, okay, everyone around me is walking on two legs, so I have to try and walk on two legs, okay? Because I can't be like this. And then you try, you stand up, and then you fall again, and then you stand up, and then you fall again. But one day you kind of start walking, and that's the day you learn that okay, you can walk. But again, once you walk 2 3 steps, you go ahead and you then fall again. Now, what do you do? Do you stop learning? No. You again stand up and then you again start walking. And this is how the machine learning algorithm works. You kind of train it to some data, it starts predicting. Prediction is wrong. You train it more, you add more data, you fine tune the model, and then it starts predicting again. And then again, if it's wrong, it will improve. Else, it is perfect, right? Now you don't learn how to walk. I bet a 20-year-old might be learning how to walk. Now, he might learn different styles, but that's again, that's premium, right? That's not something which contributes to normal walking, like ramp walking or something like that. But again, another example which I will give you, which might help you understand machine learning very effectively, is let's say this child is around 6 years old, okay, and he walks into a ice cream parlor. Now he likes ice cream, so he goes and he points out to his mother that he wants this ice cream. Okay. Now, mother is like, okay, I'm not going to buy you this. We are not buying this ice cream. Now, as a child, what you can do? You don't have money, so you can buy it. Buy it, obviously. So, what options you have? The number one option, request. You request again. Mom is like, no. Number two option, cry. You start crying. I want this ice cream. Mom is like, again, no. Then there's an ultimate weapon which children use, and they sit down on the ground in front of the shop and they start crying. Now, being a very small child, your mom will not insist with you or fight with you, and she'll be like, okay, take this ice cream. And now, what you learn from the environment was if you are not getting anything, you sit down and you cry, and then you get that thing. Now, you go to a mall, you see a game, and now you ask your mom again, can I want this game? Mom's like, no. You're like, what you learned from the previous environment was sit down on the ground and cry. Now you sit down on the ground and you start crying. Now here the mom again realizes that okay, small child again, and then she buys you a toy. Again works. Her technique is amazing. Whenever you don't get anything, you sit down and cry. Simple as that. Now this guy turns like 10 and then he goes again to the mall with his mom and he requests PS4. Now that's a bit kind of expensive stuff. Now mom is like, no, I'm not going to buy you this. Now he learned something from past two experiences that if you don't get anything right away, you have an option of sitting down there and crying. So he sits down there and starts crying. Now the interesting stuff happens is that mom walks away because he's now a bit older and he's not like 6 or 7 years old. He's able to walk, he's able to understand stuff and environment. So mom doesn't buy and mom starts walking off. And once this guy doesn't see mom in his eyesight, he runs towards her to find her because he might be lost. Simple as that. And he forgets about PS4 now, and he is finding his room. So now he realized that this technique no more works, right? Because again, it did the same thing. He sat down on the floor, he started crying, but it doesn't work. And that's what he realized. And now he's going to search for a new technique. And that new technique is barter system. Okay, I'm going to score 90% in the ninth standard, you give me this. Simple as that. That's how machine learning works. Simple. Very simple example. I hope you understand the concept now, that how machine learning system works. Now, what is the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence? That's also a very kind of training topic. So, machine learning and artificial intelligence both are similar, people say, but is it so? Not at all. Machine learning and artificial intelligence. So, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence, and machine learning is a technique which helps you to learn from different examples. Okay? Now, what is the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning? Artificial intelligence is about mimicking humans. Machine learning is not about mimicking humans. Machine learning is all about predictive analysis, or it's all about kind of figuring out from a set of data what is going to happen, or concluding something from a set of data that what has already happened, or predicting something like, for example, if you throw a dice in the air and what could be the possible outcomes, uh, like that. But on the other hand, artificial intelligence is something which will be which will be more generic in the sense. So, for example, artificial intelligence is something which can mimic human beings, and we haven't achieved a breakthrough in that as well, because again, AI systems, human systems are very, very, very complex. Right? Now, you don't understand like how human system works, because again, there are people who know 5 to 6 languages. They can speak 5 to 6 languages, right? And there are humans who can speak their native language, and they can speak broken English, right? Just like me, how I'm speaking now. Not a fluent one, not no proper grammar, no proper pronunciation, and how it works. Simple. Because that's not our first language. Our first language is Hindi and then Marathi and then English. So now, coming back to artificial intelligence, AI is something which is more of making the system more human, thinking like human, acting like human, doing things like human. And it's very, very difficult to replicate human beings, the brain of the human, like how actually things will be, kind of how humans actually think and how humans actually execute tasks. So that's very kind of difficult thing to achieve. But again, artificial intelligence has enabled machines to be intelligent in specific tasks. For example, machine can be very good at translation, even better than humans sometimes. Okay, but at the same time, machine cannot understand the context of the sentence, and it can mess up real bad sometimes, which humans will never do. If they are a translator, they will kind of give you a perfect translation of simple. So again, for example, if you're talking about counting the number of files available, that is something which a human will take time for, right? Just clicking each file and counting them manually. But if you use a machine learning system, it can do that very fast. Okay, calculating a sum of 10,000 numbers, human being, it's going to take time. Computers, it's going to be pretty easy. So computers cannot really think, but they can compute. They can bring back history. They can store tons and tons of data, and they can process that data and give you an output. Okay, and that's what the major difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence is. Artificial intelligence is all about mimicking human beings, and machine learning obviously is a subpart of it, so it helps it in doing that. But machine learning, on the other hand, if you see, is more on a concept where we apply that in a specific field. For example, finding using X-rays and finding if a patient has COVID-19. or a patient doesn't have a COVID-19. That could be a very well class designed which can be solved using machine learning because there is a very specific task. Okay, so yeah, now to understand machine learning on a very wider note, this is going to be another example which I'm going to explain. Now, some people might find this offensive, and if you do, I totally apologize for it earlier. But this is an example which most of the teenagers relate to me. Okay, so I mostly interact with teenagers, and I am myself a teenager, so not no more a teenager, but again in my 20s. But again, this example sits well with a lot of people. Okay, so I'm going to debate this one, but again, if you kind of find it offensive, I'm apologizing in chat so that you don't come running at me. But again, yeah. So what we are trying to do is how many of you use emojis in your textual, like WhatsApp and Instagram? I guess most of you might, okay, because I'm not able to see the chat, so I might not be able to see your replies. But again, most of you might be able to kind of use, or you might be using emojis in your day-to-day life, and they play a very critical part in your life of expressing yourself to textually. Like, if you write, so for example, if you write, "I'm angry," okay, now if you just send that, that really means a bad message, like he's crazily angry. But if you write "I am angry" and if you add a heart emoji beside that "I am angry," the whole meaning changes. Okay, so that's how it is. Emojis change the way how you communicate. Now, what we are trying to do is we are trying to solve this problem now where we are going to. So, how do you identify if someone is in a relationship? Common symptoms like talking a lot and they kind of sharing snack stories, something like that, maybe. But my way of identifying if you are in a relationship or not is through identifying emojis, more specifically, recent emojis. So every day there is a day and then there is a night, and most of us teenagers, right? They kind of tend to chat with their loved ones in night using some exotic emojis. And if you kind of if you don't know, your emojis are saved in history and they are not deleted unless you go into recent emojis and delete them. So if you want to find out if you're a terrorist shooting on someone, you can just go to recent emojis and you kind of check that specific set of emojis, and then you can conclude that if something happened, like kind of, I myself is single, so I can't kind of really say which set of emojis people use. But I did this experiment with my friends, and I came up with some amazing use cases of emojis. So our data set is big. It's around 3,400 emojis in total. But again, not every one of us uses all the emojis. So I shortlisted some of them. Here there are around 340 emojis somewhere around 340 emojis. Okay. So now this is my data set. The data is big. Data is always big, right? But I'm not actually kind of considering the whole data set because there are only specific emojis which might help me find out what I'm looking for. So these are called as features. So this is an emoji set, and this might be the features which are really going to be useful. So understand, data set is really big, but there are some features which might help us understand. Okay, if we understand these features, we can actually generate a machine learning model which can predict if they are in a relationship or they are not. So these are the features on space one, and these are features on space two. Now again, quoting directly because I'm not in a relationship, I don't know what emojis people use, and this was an experiment with my friends. So they suggested some of these emojis which I have marked red as features, uh, feel free to kind of DM me and tell me these emojis might not be perfect choice, or I might should include some more. But again, understand what I'm trying to say. A big data set, and in that big data set, some features. Okay, some features which are going to be used for our modeling. Okay, so in terms of in technical terms, I would say the features is referred as X always. Always, the features usually will be referred as X, and if there are multiple features, it will be X by N. That is X1, X2, X3, Xn, and so on. If there are multiple features, okay. Now here we have multiple emojis as input, so there are multiple features, okay. So in that case, it will be X1, X2, X3, X4, X5, but they will fall under X. And then in the Y, we will have as an target or as an output. That is, if it is if that set of emojis are this, he's in a relationship or he's not in a relationship. So we have definite label, two outcomes: relationship, not in a relationship. You can add friend zone as well. I don't really care, but again, that might be a really crazy example of relationship, relationship, friend zone. Yeah. Okay. Now, uh, why I think this approach is very effective, or this example is very effective, is because I'm going to show you some examples, and you're going to tell me which movie is this. So I'm going to switch back to the chat to see your responses. Okay. So let me. Yeah. So okay, volunteers, can you please kind of type it here so that I can see it? Which movie is this? The first one. Which movie is this? Oh, sorry. Which song is this? Okay, is there someone? Hello, hello.
Yeah, yeah, sir, I'm here.
Okay, so you guess it because I don't know. I will be able to interact with the audience. So you guess it. Which one is this?
Mm, as you say, sir. Um, third one.
The first one. This one.
Yep.
This one. Which one is this? The song. Which song is this?
Mm,
You know Hindi, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you might be familiar then.
Sorry.
You might be familiar then.
Mm, sir,
Any
you
guess?
as you want, sir. Um,
Uh, okay.
I
Okay.
don't know, sir. Actually.
Okay. So it's Teri Kali Kali Aankhein.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Teri Kali Kali and then Aankhein, right? Now the
Yeah,
second one.
nice logic.
Second one. Which movie do you think this one is?
Uh, there is a girl and one cat. Okay. Uh, it's quite hard.
Okay, no, it's easy. It's Billu Barber.
Oh shit.
Okay, now this movie should be very easy, I guess.
Okay. Is that airlift?
No, no, similar.
Uh,
Indian movie. Indian movie.
um, there is a oh yes yes yes. Heroine was Sonam Kapoor.
Yeah,
I think so. That movie, right? Nirja. I think.
Ninja. Yeah, it's Ninja, right?
Yep.
And this one,
There are two boys. That means movie on is on friendship. Mm, Beyar.
no,
Uh, I don't know, sir. What's that?
it's Jurba 2.
Okay. Oh, yes, 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 sir. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, Jurba and 2, right?
Yeah,
So
sir.
yeah. Now you were not able to kind of guess it, some of them, but some of them you were able to guess it. And again, this is pure, like, this is how machine learning really works in real life. Okay, so going ahead, in technical terms, we have multiple examples and we have multiple outcomes or target of that specific examples. So if we have a recent emoji like this, the output will be no. if we have a recent emoji like this, you can see a lot of features in here, right? And hence the output will be yes, and so on. Again, you can see a lot of features, right? So the output will be kind of yes. Now you have data. You okay? I guess there's some background coming. Okay, uh, so you have the data set here, and now you need to write a model which can actually kind of understand the relationship between the x and the y, so that you can get an output. Okay, so that's what the model is going to do, and then you can kind of train the model, and then save the model, and then pass an unknown image which was never passed earlier, and then see the output of probability. So if you see there are some emojis which are kind of used by people in relationship, and that's why it's 70% probability that this recent emoji chat is one of the examples of yeah, hello. There's a lot of background noise. Yeah, so this is one of the examples of in a relationship. Okay, so this is main part. This is all about machine learning, where the real machine learning happens. But again, collecting data and analyzing data is also a very critical part, and that's why I showed you that okay, there's a complete data set, and then from that complete data set, you need some features. You don't need the complete data set, and from that features, you need some labels which are corresponding output, and that's why you have X, and then you have Y, and then you need multiple examples of X and multiple examples of Y, and then you can pass them to a neural network, and then it trains, and then it gets kind of saved, and then you can use an unknown image and pass that on the model, and then you will get a probability. Now, we voice really don't interact on kind of emojis. We use a lot of speakers. So for voice group, this might be one of the examples. But again, it totally depends on the data set and the features which you're going to use. But yeah, that's the complete example about it. So how it all started, how machine learning originated, how machine learning came into existence is a very very kind of important concept, because you need to understand how machine learning came into existence. And AlphaGo was AlphaGo, IBM. These were the companies and the applications which back then were very relevant, and were one of the like premium versions of machine learning you might ever see. So AlphaGo is still active, but IBM has discontinued some of the services, but they have developed amazing new services which you can actually use. So you need to remember a few names, because this is something which is going to change your perspective about how things really work back then. Okay, and who are the originators of artificial intelligence and machine learning? So here are two names like McCarthy, Geoffrey Hilton, Jan Ligon, and Mendel. So this were the people who won the Turing Award. Turing Award is just like Nobel Prize, but in the field of computer science. And these were so Geoffrey and Hannigan and they three kind of got the Turing Award in 2018, and McCarthy won the Turing Award in 1980, and that's why he's known as the father of artificial intelligence. Sir John. So you should remember his name always. These were the people who enabled the research and the work of machine learning and artificial intelligence continued even after receiving backlash from the community and across the globe. They were persistent about their idea of how machine learning is going to change the world, and that's why we are able to see the machine learning systems that are available in today's world, they being one of the reasons. Another names which you should remember is about Jardine, Francis, and AI Winter. Francis was the developer of Keras, so you should remember him because Keras is a machine learning library which we use on a very, very, very kind of normal basis. AI Winter. AI Winter, I will talk a little about AI Winter later. but it was one of the factors which contributed in development of artificial intelligence and machine learning on a very large scale. This is Jan Ligan predicting numbers for, so you can see 4627. That is written, handwritten, and he was trying to predict them using his machine learning algorithm. And this is a very old image of Jan Ligan recording his video of how machine learning worked, how he trained a machine learning model, and he was able to kind of pass images as an input, and the machine learning algorithm was able to extract the numbers in the images and display them. And if you are a beginner in machine learning, image data set is something which you might be coming across very soon. And this complete data set is based on the Yanligan's research about finding numbers from that images. So, okay, I skipped about AI Winter. I guess I didn't post the images about AI Winter. So AI Winter was a kind of a competition. It was more like funding opportunity where there were funds and people were kind of researching amazing algorithms like Backdrop and Perceptron were kind of experimented in this kind of winters, and they continued in 1960s and 1980s, and they had a very huge impact on the artificial intelligence community that you see today. And to be very specific, 2012 is a time where artificial intelligence and machine learning. So from 1990s and 1980s, when kind of these people actually kind of did a lot of research, but it was not adapted by the world. So it was just in a sideline. Okay, they were not kind of no company was adapting this kind of all the things they were doing, but in 2012, something amazing happened, and it was like within 3 months, Google, Amazon, IBM, everyone wanted to do machine learning, and the people, all of them believed, everyone believed that it was an overnight success, but very few knew that this was not an overnight success, but it was more than like 30 years of effort to bring that overnight, buzz about machine learning and artificial intelligence in 2012. And if you talk about 2020 today, you know how real the buzz is. So yeah, many people ask me, will AI and ML replace my job? Definitely yes. Most of the job will be replaced, but at the same time, AI is generating jobs which you never imagined would exist, and it is going to generate more jobs, and it is going to take away from you. And so are going to be more in terms of human cognitive services, where where the task cannot be done by the machine and requires a human to monitor data to kind of develop that system and maintain it. So, according to Jack Ma and few great world leaders, they say that machine learning and artificial intelligence is something which is going to help us, but at the same time, we need to understand the effect of machine learning and artificial intelligence into the society, uh, keeping in mind will they take over the world and XYZ factors, which many people kind of fascinate, they discuss about it. But again, if I talk about artificial intelligence in the current state, it can recognize cat as dog and dog as cat, but again, forget about taking over the world. So yeah. So what we learned about is what is artificial intelligence. It is or machine learning is study of algorithm which learns from examples and experiences. And for example, if I want to classify apple or orange, I can actually uh, kind of write the manual rules based on color, shape, size, and so on. But again, there will be many rules which might be breaking. For example, the images might be black and white, or the shape might be different. For example, someone passes an apple, what happens then? So machine learning comes to a rescue where it kind of generates rules on a rolling basis. For example, here you can see we are using a classifier. So you don't need to really go to a classifier. You can use a predefined model, and you can actually just retrain that based on your data instead of rewriting the whole code. So this is how your data might really look like for apple and orange problems with some features and some output. and you're going to replace them into training and lesson part, and then you are going to write a machine learning model. Um, Basically, you can write a machine learning model within 6 lines, and you can deploy that machine learning model as well very easily. So this is kind of a process which you can follow. So I'll share the lab which you can actually do with me, so that you're also kind of. Okay, so here you go. So I'll share you the URL. This is the URL which you can actually kind of use. Not able to find it now. Just give me a minute. Yeah, so it is very easy. So this is the URL which you can use it. I'm also posting another URL which can be helpful. So yes. So after the section, if you want the slide, you can ping me here. Mostly, you can join the channel and I will share the slides there. This is the code lab which you're going to use. So note down this URL. And once you go to the URL, you can open the collaboratory, which is here. So collab using this presentation. You can click here and it will open notebook, which you can actually kind of go through, navigate, and kind of see the outcome. Just wait a minute. So it's taking the time to load. So this is the lab which will enable you to kind of understand a lot about machine learning and how it works in real life. It is the code is very well commented, so you can actually kind of go through that and kind of try to analyze what you're going to do, and then you can kind of definitely build up your model, train it, see an output, and then fine tune the hyperparameters and then display as an output. Now, if I was supposed to show you the face of machine learning, which says that the face or the real, how would machine learning look like if it had a face? So this could be how possibly a machine learning algorithm might look like if it really had a face. So when I say an algorithm, this is how it looks like. And this is a graph generated. This is a random forest. So again, it is a machine learning algorithm which we are going to use for solving this problem. Now, if I just zoom it out, it is something you can see something like this, where we are using a tree-based structure, a decision tree-based structure, and we are trying to kind of use different parameters to understand what is going to happen at each step. Okay. So this is how it is. For the problem which we are solving, I'll show you another amazing example of how this looks like. So I might have, yeah. So this is again the problem which we are solving for housing data. This is the real face of machine learning. So you can see how big it is, how massive it is, right? And that's kind of decision tree which we just made to understand how machine learning is going to kind of get us the outcome. So yeah, this is the face of machine learning, a real face you can say. Uh, okay, so that's about this part. Now, uh, going back to the URL, you can note down this URL again. Now coming back to the presentation. So um, you need some real questions to answer, like how does this work in real world. So in real world, obviously you are not going to get a problem statement of classifying guys and girls in relationship or not in relationship, or trying to identify apple or orange, but you will get some real use cases. For example, predicting house prices, or identifying how much time it is going to take for the delivery based on the traffic, and so on. How much training data do you need? You need a lot of training data. It totally depends on a problem statement. For example, if you're solving a self-driving car, that's going to need a lot of data. But if you're trying to kind of predict apple and orange, you might not need so much of data. You can work with less data as well. How is the tree created? So tree is created based on the model. So it totally depends on which model you're using, if it's a decision tree or it's a random forest or it's another model. So it totally depends upon which model you're using, and then based on that, it takes the decisions and then it moves on and then it works that way. Now, what makes a good feature? Anything which is kind of a feature which can be recognizable. For example, if I'm kind of predicting house price, I cannot ignore square feet, right? Because house price is based on square feet, right? So I cannot ignore important features. So these are features which are going to be used from the data set. Remember, always remember data set is big, but you're not going to use the complete data set. You're going to use features of the data set. Okay. Now, so what tool should I use? I'll recommend using TensorFlow. TensorFlow is the number one tool which you can use because it's a machine learning library and it gives you an ability to do everything, including feature engineering, data modeling, data deployment, converting your files and sending it to an Android device using TF Lite, and many more kind of like features. So and it is open source plus one, maintained by Google plus two, and a lot of people which are contributing to open source. So that's why you should kind of opt with TensorFlow. Again, if you're interested more into understanding the research part of it, then PyTorch is the best library. So you can go to PyTorch as well. So these two are a viable option as of now for me. Yeah. So what is TensorFlow again? TensorFlow is so what is Tensor in real term? So I explained Tensor term as a number, a single number is scalar. A set of numbers 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a vector. A set of vector is a matrix. A set of matrix is a table. A set of table is a tensor. Okay. So I explained that using a simple image like this. This is a scalar. This is a vector. This is a matrix, and then this is a tensor. So yeah. Now, machine learning and deep learning. So earlier we discussed about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now we are going to discuss about machine learning and deep learning. So machine learning, you already know what it is. What is deep learning? Now, when I talk about image features, it becomes very difficult for machine learning to learn them because it follows a more of a supervised, approach and more of an approach where it actually knows the features. But in images, you don't really know which feature to use. So here we are going to use something called as deep learning, where we are going to kind of use a network which is going to learn from our images and it's going to extract the features, store them, and then we will be able to kind of achieve an output. And this is the output which you are going to kind of achieve after at the end of your model, training the model. Now again, deep learning is again altogether different concept. So I need to kind of show you some good examples and then explain you again. But again, I don't intend to cover deep learning in this session. That's why I'm not going to talk much about it. But again, it is a technique which is mostly used nowadays. But again, if you even know machine learning, that's more than enough. It's totally fine. Now, yeah. So what's people tell me that data science are going to take away other jobs, but I believe data science scientists are going to even take away their own job as well in the near future. With the development of AutoML in a so much rapid stage that you can just upload the data and everything will be done by AutoML and you can just download the model and use it predictively. So that is again a point where you can consider that okay, in a coming future, we can say that data scientists are also kind of losing their jobs. Yes, they are. So these are some of the examples which I kind of want you to see. But again, I'll show you one example of how actually uh, so you can go to Google AI experiments in your browser, and you can see a lot of experiments, and you can use quick draw and different experiments. Again, it's totally up to you. So I'm not going to show you the experiment. You can do it yourself, obviously, because we don't have much time left, and I've already kind of taken a lot of time. So you can try it just at your laptop, and it will work amazingly. Okay, so these are some of the experiments you should try. Teachable machine is one of them. What neural network C is one of them, and then quick draw is one of them. I really love quick draw; it's amazing. So these are the experiments which will help you understand how actually machine learning works in a real world scenario. This is only one demo which I'm going to show you. So here you go. Just let it load. So once I draw something here, once the model is loaded, it is going to predict what I'm trying to draw in 9 different boxes. Okay, and that's amazing, right? Because based on half drawn things, it can actually predict on what I'm going to draw in 9 different environments. And that's also a massive example. I can share it the URL once you kind of reach out to me in my chat. Also remember machine learning has different types of machine learning, right? So for example, supervised and unsupervised machine learning. So there are usually 3 types of machine learning: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is kind of not so. It is now in the earlier adopter phase where it is just kind of getting a proper direction. So even Geoffrey says that Geoffrey Hilton says that there are only 2 types of machine learning. One is supervised and one is unsupervised. Reinforcement learning, we don't have resources as of now to discuss about reinforcement learning. So we only talk about machine learning. In machine learning, we talk about supervised and unsupervised machine learning models. When I talk about supervised machine learning models, I tend to say that supervised machine learning models have input and output, whereas unsupervised machine learning model have input and no output. So it just generalizes based on the input data because it's not a label data. So that's it. Some for people who are kind of students and are graduating, I will recommend the machine learning as a job because you can see machine learning engineer is one of the hottest role available in the market. Data scientist is one of the hottest role available in the market. But again, if you see other roles, just as application development, backend developer, full stack engineer, customer success manager, digital marketing specialist, sales recruiter are also one of the most trending jobs available in India as of now. Also, people ask me that, hey Ali, if everyone is kind of learning computers, uh, will there be enough computing job in the near future? And I say yes, totally. There is going to be enough computing job in the near future because people are kind of tending towards because CS has a lot of opportunities. I have seen electronic engineers working at Google in computer science and software development fields, and that's just because of their persistence of learning like CS, uh, computer science, which includes artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, blockchain, or any other technology, irrespective of the technology. Okay, I put it here. So yeah, as I told you earlier, like in 1980s and 1970s, AI winter happened, and at that time, the artificial intelligence was booming, and in 2012, I told you right that deep learning revolution happened. So that's it from my side, guys. Thank you so much for attending. I'm very thankful to you to stay back till the end. And this are my contact details. You can contact me on the given details above. I'll be more than happy to get in connect with you, answer your questions, or give you hands-on experience if you would like. Okay, as I told you already, I have given you the lab as well. So if you want me to explain that lab, I would be more than happy to explain it to you as well. You can just contact me on Instagram, Facebook, or you can just Google Ali Mustufa, and you will be able to find about me there. Thank you so much for attending. I really loved the session. Uh, Also,
Hello,
one more
sir.
thing.
Am I
I
audible?
yeah, yeah, just one moment.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
thank you so
okay.
much. But one more thing which I want to highlight is humans are kind of hooked up and machines are learning. So don't be that human who is hooked up, but be a human who is learning because learning is an important part. And with this COVID-19, I guess most of you are kind of at home and try to learn this. Okay, so if you want resources, you want to start your career as a data scientist or as a machine learning engineer. I don't know where to start, where to learn, where to get the resources from. You're always happy to kind of approach me, and I'll be more than happy to give you the pathway which I feel is appropriate based on your background. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ali Mustafa sir. Sir, there is a question from our students that
Sure.
as a beginner, from where and what to start learning to become a machine learning engineer?
If you're a complete beginner, you need to kind of first learn a programming language, which could be Python or which could be R or which could be C++. I don't recommend learning machine learning for complete beginners. The reason for that is that if you learn machine learning is always a bonus skill, okay? It is not a core skill. So, for example, if you know Android development and you know machine learning, that's a plus one. But if you don't know Android development and you know machine learning, it's of no use. Like, where are you going to implement that? So you need to first learn application development or become a web developer or know how application works. Once you know that, then you can opt for learning machine learning. And in that case, you can refer to resources. Most of the resources are available online, so you can refer to Coursera and Udacity. Udacity has a very good course on TensorFlow for beginners, complete beginners. So you can refer that course. Again, if you want the resources, you can always ping me and I will send you the URL very specific to your background.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, Ali Mustafa sir, for coming here and giving a wonderful expert talk to our students. Oh, and thank you all students too for coming here. Hope you all will enjoy. Thank you, Ali sir. Thank you very much, sir. And please don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.